Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight. I'm Alexis, joined by Alexis Moreno here on the show that brings you everything coming out of the world of movies and more, and sometimes emphasis and a lot more. By now, those of you who listen and watch are well accustomed to the idea that when it's just Alexis and I, anything goes, and it may very well, go past beyond the bounds of just like movies and film. Although there's plenty to get into with that today. But I think we wanted to get into some things that we've been following that I think mean a great deal to us, whether it be the arena of politics or actually the music world, which is something that, intermittently we kind of sprinkle in there, here and there. The last time we had a big discussion about this would have been the Grammys and the Super Bowl halftime show. And now we have other things to talk about today. On today's show, we have Coachella, Bieberchella, Bruno Mars, The Romantic. On the other side of things, Hassan Piker, kind of changing the world in a way that was a complete accident, I think he would even say. The media just kind of did the work for him, but apparently he really has become a superstar to the point where his endorsement is going to move figures, to which I say, tick, 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 tock, we got a governor race, endorse, get the people out there, get the troops out there, we don't have too much time to stop a Newsom clone from winning the election. Speaking of, there's a governor race happening in California that is apparently, important to us since we live in the state of California. And then as far as anything else is concerned, Alexis has seen some movies in the form of Project Hail Mary and The Drama. That is going to be today's show on Red Spotlight number 500. By the way, it's not 500, it's 535. But the point is, I don't know what's been going on, but at the end of shows, maybe my brain is so fried that whenever I get asked what number was this again, I always go jump back to 200 or 300. I'm like,
yeah, I've noticed
it's 5, and I'm like, what the heck is happening? It's like, well, I don't know, maybe it's something psychological, or it very well could be that my brain is just by that point, we're pretty exhausted by the time that these shows end. And I mean, maybe that's a sign we should not make them as long as as they are. Maybe it's time to acknowledge that, Father Time isn't all that kind, and after 10 years of podcasting, maybe the 2.5 to 3 hour, maybe that's something we shouldn't do as much anymore, and yet
sometimes it just happens.
It just happens that way. The conversation is so good. And then, of course, when you least expect it, 3 hours kind of fly by. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, guys, that's going to be our show today. A lot, obviously, happening as per usual. Yeah, I feel like if there's one place to start off this week, I want to say there's been, I'd say, an overwhelming sense of, nostalgia, but then also pride with, the luminaries or the contemporaries that you grew up with, right? And I feel like one of the places to start this week really has to be with two particular superstars from our youth, thousands of years ago, who both have returned to the spotlight in not the same ways, but are kind of doing the same thing in very different ways, which is not just reminding the world how talented they are and how worthy of their attention they were in the first place, but also kind of using the moment to reclaim a part of their success that, had its trials and tribulations, and for a while, I think, left its marks, but both of which have now recontextualized it and reclaimed it as their own in that it is a part of them that they'll hold on to and they're going to use to continue growing as people. And what I'm referring to are just two individuals who, Alexis and I will just get into a lot here. They've meant a great deal and they've represented a great deal as far as people who are our age. We're now in the 30-something years. God. But then, so are these particular individuals. We were not able to, I guess, record a reaction just due to the circumstances of our scheduling. But in the last month, Miley Cyrus filmed a 20th anniversary special for Hannah Montana. Now, I haven't seen the thing in full in hopes that eventually we'll do a reaction to it.
I haven't seen
but
it
I have
either.
But I have seen clips of performances, and that's TikTok for you, right? It'll just show you that and then obviously reactions to it. I've seen clips of Miley perform some of those Hannah songs, and it's incredible how amazing she looks, how amazing she sounds, and how much she fully embraced this and created this out of thin air. And she was right to, which, by the way, low-key is yet another instance of Disney having blind spots for not realizing the legacy of the things that they're worth, that they weren't already planning a 20th anniversary and that Miley had to be out there talking it up on red carpets oh yeah, we're planning something. Again, we say this every
I think it was her mom's idea.
Yeah. Whoever's idea it was, it is insane to me how no one at Disney took into consideration that this should have been something worth doing. Again, don't lose sight of that. There are a bunch of clowns, idiots, and morons over there. Which that in and of itself is its own tangent, mind you. Which I think we might have some time later on to discuss that, because there have been a couple of things that I think require attention considering what's going on over there. But in regards to this, I thought that she fully just recaptured not just the persona, but the superstardom of Hannah Montana. And it was just again, nostalgia. That word just keeps, coming back up here, but it was nostalgia less in the Star Wars, Super Mario, it's that thing I know Marvel kind of way, and more so in the I'm so proud of you kind of way. It's wow, you've had such a successful career, and we've had so many examples in the industry of people just kind of shying away from their past. I mean, you yourself, Alexis, kind of expressed some thoughts when we were recording our High School Musical reactions about how Zac Efron, I guess to you feel like sometimes he kind of doesn't want to, spend too much time talking about that. And that's, I think, natural for a lot of stars, that they don't want to acknowledge too much of how they were catapulted onto the scene. But it's really refreshing to have of all people, Miley Cyrus just embrace the persona of Hannah Montana, because if you know the history of Miley Cyrus's life, for a while there, it was holy shit, what? Because she was so constrained and so in a way suffocated by that persona that she was exploded onto the scene with, Can't Be Tamed. And ever since, even before then, but ever since then, it's just a nonstop flurry of just headlines. And then there was when she chopped off all her hair, and then she did that thing with Robin Thicke at the VMAs with blurred lines and that dance. And then, of course, came Wrecking Ball, and that was a whole thing. But if you also think about Justin Bieber and the way that he kind of got away from the squeaky clean persona and got into some his own issues, and to be fair, I think Justin had a little bit more, I don't know if psychological is the right way of putting it, but he had a lot more legal issues, quite frankly.
Legal issues,
for a minute
mental
there,
issues.
Legal issues, yeah. But both of these personas, both of these superstars, were so quick right off the bat. And at some point, they kind of hit a snag of things were getting too heavy, not necessarily having the best people around them, and they kind of had to find their way out in pretty dramatic ways, but also in ways that were very much in the public eye, in the spotlight. We were all seeing what they were going through in real time. And they were able to come out at the other end of both of their trials in ways that really made them flourish as not just performers, but as artists. And even to this very day where we are now, again, I'm not even saying that they were like one up and all, I mean, one down and all these ups, constant up and a down. But where we are right now, I think it's just important. It means a lot to me that the people who I looked in a way up to, but then also just like was very much all about at that time, now as a fully grown adults, being able to kind of like embrace that past, as hard as I'm sure it is still, because it comes with all that baggage of things that shouldn't have happened to them in that way. And in the baggage of all of the negativity that was thrown their way for, in many ways, through no fault of their own, just by being in the public eye. But the point is, seeing Miley perform as Hannah and doing those songs was just like, whoever thought that was ever something that was going to happen again. Okay? And then when you draw a parallel to what happened over this past weekend with Bieber himself, well, the past 2 weekends, I should say, and all of the talk that that's driven, I don't know, it just makes me feel good that, you know, I feel like a lot of the things that we liked as like children were very much like looked down on,
Yeah.
and like not like taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Who was right in the end? Because look at where we are right now, and some of these people who we were really obsessed with ended up being really fucking talented, and guess what? They're really freaking successful. And why you gotta be mad at it when they can actually like deliver, and they have been delivering for a long while now. Personally, like Miley and Justin are two of my, well, I mean, they kind of have to be in a way like my favorite artists, not like my favorite, but like among, because of how, as Justin said at Coachella, like we kind of grew up together. It's like, and you follow their work so intensely. Not that you know, I did throughout all of the time. There were some periods where I dropped out and then I came back in, as you kind of do with the natural course of your life. But it's kind of a long preamble to just say that where we're going to begin this week is talking about the Bieber of it all, Biebercella, Coachella. I've been having a really interesting time, just like, because I've never myself experienced the festival. You have, and you can talk about your experiences there.
I've never been.
Okay, somebody cut this out. I thought you were. Never mind.
No. I follow it. Like I'll watch the live streams and stuff, and I've wanted to go since... I'm sorry,
Red Spotters. I thought we were here with somebody who had actually knew what they were talking about there. Sorry. Sorry. No, I mean, I don't follow it as much as you do.
To be fair, though, like, there hasn't been, like, a lineup that I've been, like, dang, like, I wish I could have gone. Like, this year is the first time since, like, maybe 2008, 2009 that I've been, like, dang. Like, I was feeling the FOMO really bad.
For a place you've never been?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, obviously. You can feel that way. It's just like, I don't know what it is, but I just assumed that you had gone there, because I mean, I know that, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but like this whole Coachella thing, like, was never really anything that like, well, I'm a complicated person when it comes to that. I feel like I love live music, but I rarely ever go see live music. I think I see a concert maybe once a decade, if that. So that's obviously not My thing, I mean, I love music. I really do. I just it's not where I like to spend my money on the most part. Maybe because they're kind of a lot of money to go to those shows for sure. Um, but I through the advent of this like nifty little app called TikTok. I don't know if you've heard of it, but these last couple of years, they've been very educational about the whole experience of Coachella.
Oh,
And
okay.
I gotta tell you, these last 2 weeks, that's kind of been like I've seen so many like reels and videos of like the scene there.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like I was watching a reality show. I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna lie. Of like all, and there's like different layers to the whole thing. I've just been so fascinated, disgusted, scared, and excited about all the different like scenes that you'd see there, happening. I mean, generally, the idea of a music festival sounds amazing, right? Like you get to see all these different like artists and bands perform. It's live music. You're going with people who are you would think to be into the same things that you are. Like on paper, you'd think like, oh, I mean, what's there to be all that complicated about it? Well, I mean, lately it's because like if Coachella's gotten like it feels like it gets bigger and bigger and bigger every year, and the type or the types of people that show up there, as with everything else in like the last 10 years of society through the advent of streaming, things have become a lot more um splintered, and people go there for very different reasons. People go there for very different names, shall we say, that they're interested in seeing, and as something like Coachella continues to kind of explode in popularity, there are different aspects of the event that kind of are prioritized among the people who go there. Um I yeah, I mean, I don't know um if it was always like this, but like the the differences in terms of like what is being offered, and how you even get there and show up there. I mean, you tell me how. First of all, I'm kind of curious to hear you, because I think you know a lot more about it than I do. It's like how you first like found out about like this whole thing, like Coachella existing and that music event, and then also just like the memories you have of like watching, I guess, performances there or stories that you heard. Like, what about it is like such a? Because I know you enjoy going to live music a lot more. You just go to it, I want to say, a lot more. And you have a lot more um of that under your belt. So I just like what does it mean to you, and what does it mean the same thing as it did back then? Does it kind of evolve as the years have gone by? Because I think you've been paying attention to it for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, specifically this one, um, I have an uncle who went to like the first few, which is like in the late 90s, I think, or something like that. Um, so he's the one that was like, "Oh yeah, like Coachella, da da da, da, whatever." And I, I can't remember if it was 8th grade or ninth grade. Like a bunch of bands that I was into and still am were going, and again,
Can
that was
you
like
list them off?
I know it was I can't remember if it was that. I'm pretty sure it was. It was like The Cure, The Strokes. Like I mean those are like the main ones, but like just like a bunch of bands like that. And that's what it was before, where it was like kind of, I mean, I feel like the last like 2, maybe 3 years it's been a little bit more like that, where it's like more unknowns and like, or like older people, older bands and stuff mixed with new ones, and the headliners are always going to be like things that are popular. It's like those small ones that I'm like most of the time more excited about. Um, but yeah, that was like the last one where I was like, dang, like I wish I would have gone. And like obviously I would want to go, but it was never as much as it was that year. until this year where I'm like, dang, I wish I would have gone. Like I this year I was watching the live stream and every time I would just be like, oh my god. Like I got really upset that I wasn't there. Um and then I mean I've done like music festivals, but I've never done it like this where it's like multiple days. I think like the only kind of experience I have with that is like D23. But it's like not the same. Um but the being there all weekend like also kind of doesn't do anything
that's an
for
interesting
me.
thing.
Especially because we grew up like how far away from there, like we know how it is, so it's always been kind of like ooh. But I don't know. This year's was so good. I'm really upset I didn't go. I'm jealous of everybody that did.
I gotta tell you, I'm genuinely surprised to hear that you've not been there because it totally sounds like something you would have already done by now.
I mean, it was always so expensive.
That is what I was going to ask you. It was always expensive, right?
And like
it's only gotten even more ridiculous.
I do go to a lot of concerts and stuff, but a lot of them are like when they're like $50, like the most like $70. Like they're not anything big. I think the last big one I went to, which was like maybe the first big concert like that it well, I guess not. I guess maybe My Chemical Romance is also kind of big, but I went to go see Shakira last year and I was on the floor. That was like the most I've ever spent on a concert ticket.
Where at?
In Tijuana.
Oh.
And even then, like I didn't even pay the full amount because the rest it was like a surprise. I thought we were gonna sit on the bleachers, and then my cousin surprised me with getting us floor seats because it was near my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. Oh, I guess Rebelde. Maybe that's like another big one.
Did you ever see Bad Bunny?
No. That's what I mean. Like I don't really go to big concerts like that.
We should do that.
I know. You know what? I just missed him in December. We don't talk about it.
Yeah, we shouldn't, I guess, bring that part up. No. Well, I know it's like, generally, it depends a lot on the artist, right? Some of them really do hike up those prices.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously I would want to see like people that I like that are that big, but like I'm okay with like not going. I think right now like the one that I'm like dang, like I would do anything to go, but I also don't like want to pay is Rosalia. That's the only one I would like consider going to. I wanted to go to Lady Gaga last year, but I did not.
So generally, it just seems to me that it is kind of not really affordable to go, like, at all, right? Like,
I mean, it just depends. I think if you, like, really want to go, like, you're gonna make it happen. It's just, I'm not at the point.
Because, like, when you buy a ticket, like, it's for the whole weekend, right?
See, I don't even know. I think you can buy like individual days. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, let's just say let's just do this. Create this fantasy that you get past that, and like, because I think ideally for you, you'd want to get to a point where you're like, you'd want to do the experience. But would you do the whole camping scene, or what are your thoughts on how that runs and how that operates from what you've seen?
I mean, I have like my cousins have gone the last like 5 years.
Oh, they have?
Yeah. They're one of them, her husband has been going for like over 10 years. And I mean, it seems fun. I don't know.
It seems fun, but then it also seems pretty horrific.
Again, I just like I also like consider the weather and like I'm not a fan of all of that. Like like
because we're locals. We're close to Coachella. We know what the weather is like.
I like camping, but like I wouldn't do it in the desert. I don't know.
With all the
I feel
dust,
like
I saw a lot of
Anakin, I don't
videos
like
of
sand.
of people with like handkerchiefs like covering, or even just masks of like the wind. That's the other thing, is the wind sometimes there too.
Well, this year they had to cancel the last person on Friday because the winds are too strong.
Yeah, that sounds rough for those people. It's funny how like a lot of people were like bitching about like, man, weekend 2 was way better than weekend 1.
That's the other thing. I
of
would
the
go to
festival.
weekend 2.
At this point,
I don't
just
understand people trying to go to weekend 1 so bad. Like it's
when
the
all
same
these
thing.
bad things are happening. Because I mean, winds, things left and right. Like, okay, let me just tell you the kind of the things that have stood out to me that I thought were just like major red flags. I have a lot of experience in camping. That's generally not terrible. It's more so just where you're camping, right? The heat. That's a big like knock against it. Just
the heat.
Okay, that's number 1. 2, I hate traffic. Oh my god, do I hate traffic? And it's like traffic to drive there, to get the fuck out of there. Then there's lines. There was lines for everything. Lines to get in, lines to take a shower, lines to take a shit. It's just lines for food. I mean, now, granted, Alexis, like you're a big fan of Disneyland. Yeah, okay, but there I'm used to it. I can put up with it because I know how to also bypass that shit really quickly than other people want. Like, I know my ins and outs. Not this. This would be like a
you would have
line
to know
after line.
To
basically to do
you.
that. And then, like, some of these like influencers, like I have to imagine like they're just like doing it like ironically because they just have the intonation and just how they're saying like, or I guess they introduce like their videos like come with me to buy a $25 hot dog at this, or I just bought a $40 burrito at, like, some of the things were just like
I like people watching
insane.
set up their camp.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. Also, it was a hilarious thing I saw on weekend 1 was apparently a lot of people got food poisoning from the pizza.
Ugh, I would hate to get food poisoning there. Oh my god. Just cut the
Not
cameras.
The place. Not the show.
No.
Not the place for it. And then also, where are you going to go?
Oh no. See, and that's like the stuff I would think about too. Like it does not sound like a good time for me.
And then the showers, wow, that was something. I mean, I guess
that's
they didn't seem. Yeah, it was. That to me was more on the fine side of it.
Yeah,
the
and
condition
I'm not,
of those porta potties.
Like,
was not
I'm not
great,
this like picky person when it comes to stuff like
Yeah,
that.
no.
Like, I've traveled like basically backpacking
all over the world.
Yeah,
All
like
over the
I've
world,
stayed in
yeah.
hostels where I've had to share
Yeah.
rooms with different people and like showers.
Yeah.
Like, it's not an issue for me.
No,
It's just being in that bathroom, hot as fuck. I can't just kill
imagine
me.
the smells.
I
Like baking in
can't. I hate the heat. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah, that's probably why you haven't been there then, right? It's just the heat.
Honestly,
you just know.
I think so. I can't do it.
And then the other thing is like people like have such elaborate outfits, and none of them seem so conducive
I would be
to the
stressed.
heat.
I would be so stressed. Like, trying to come up with outfits. People that like take pants and stuff, I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get it.
I saw clips of literal tents flying away.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was a fun one. And then of course, like I saw one of a group leaving Justin Bieber's set the first weekend. He was
Early?
performing no, it was the
Oh.
last song. It was the last song. They were like racing to beat the crowd to the buses to get out of there. I guess they have like buses to like for
Mm-hmm.
those that are not camping but they're like staying at nearby
Mm.
hotels or motels. They've got, I guess, these buses set up, and they were like from the first night they were waiting. I guess they didn't get back until like 4 in the morning because how long they thought they were taking. So
No.
no, yeah. So because of that, because they were basically waiting like 2 or 3 hours just to get on the bus. So on the second night, while Bieber was closing out his set to Daisies, they were like, "Peace, we're gonna go and run over to beat the crowds for those lines." That would
And then
kill
I
me.
saw people leaving early for Justin Bieber set this second weekend.
You mean leaving
Like
as
people
he
that
was
had gone.
performing or before he
Yeah.
performed?
Like people, well, one, people were leaving early for Carol G, which was rude. Second, the second weekend, people that had gone the first weekend left early for Justin Bieber's set before he brought everybody out. And like they found out when they got back and they were like, fuck.
Yeah, it's really interesting. This entire experience of watching what seemed like a reality show on my phone. It was like, oh, this is crazy. Oh shit, this is crazy. Um, there was even one video of this like girl that I guess like she brought this like fan because of course you would bring a fan because it's gonna be hot in that
I feel
tent.
like that doesn't
And
even
apparently,
help.
but you know what didn't help is that a spider went in there and laid eggs.
There's no way. Also
And the
that too.
fan
No.
and the fan was blowing all those babies into the air.
I would go home. There's no
Sure,
way.
but you'd have to like wait like 3 hours to
I
get
would
out
leave
because of the line.
everything and go home. That's crazy. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I feel that's a deal breaker. Spiders,
No.
everything else, yeah, no, yeah, that's bad. And then also the other thing is like I've seen videos of like there was one I saw of like this couple that had the worst luck. So I think it was the first weekend of the Bieber set, and they had been waiting there like hours, literally all day, for him to get on stage, right? And like I guess like the girlfriend had like taken like this like fat nap, and then she woke up, and then some of the guys in their group were like with the girlfriend are like, "Hey, we're gonna go get some drinks," and so they all leave the one guy. Drinks or food, I don't know what it was. They all leave. I don't know how many were in the group, like maybe 5. They leave one guy there in the area. Mind you, like this is like pretty like late, and they never saw each other again that night because as they came back, they literally could not see where the other was.
Yeah.
And then Bieber started playing.
Well, see, why would you leave? Like, that's crazy. It's like waiting for the fireworks at Disneyland. Why would you leave?
Yeah. And then I saw some videos of like some girls getting their phones snatched. Like some people are like legit stealing phones.
Suspicious.
And then I saw a video of people like ramming the security gate and then just like running past security, like sneaking in, like without paying. So it's like I don't know. It's a fascinating experiment to watch. I don't know if I would ever want to partake. I would take the entrance that Billie Eilish took, or Jacob Elordi took. That'll be the experience. It's just like, in, out, by, but everything else. I'm sure look, I'm sure a lot of the people had a lot of fun, but it also just feels like, holy hell, do you got to pay a steep price, and not just in dollar bills, just to be there, just to get there. But anyway, down to the Bieber of it all. I really want to ask you how you feel about him personally as an artist, what your journey with him has been, how you've been feeling about him lately before we even get into, these past 2 weeks, and if anything was changed or if it was reaffirmed for you with his set. We don't have to get into like how it was received. We can save that for a little bit later. I just want to get to you about how you feel about him and all that.
I mean, I was never really like a big fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought his music was fine. I think the only one, Sorry, I think that's the name of the song. That was probably like the one that I was like, oh, this is kind of good. And then I really like Daisies.
Yeah.
I really like that song. But yeah, like I was never like super into him. I mean, I'm into like pop culture stuff. So like I knew.
So you knew a lot about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
What choice did you have?
Huh?
What choice did you have, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're tuned into things, you just know, you hear it and you see it.
But yeah, I mean that was kind of it. Like I'm not like crazy fan. I'm not like not a fan. I don't know.
I'm really curious. Like you liked the Daisies. Did you hear a lot of the new album stuff that he put out?
I just heard that one.
Okay.
Oh, and then like I listened to like the TikTok clips of like at least the new album. And then I mean obviously like like I mean I knew about like the legal stuff that he was going through. Right. I mean I was all up in the trio situation. Yeah, like I paid attention to all of that.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed his music. I think like the whole time. It's just funny because like I think in the early days especially there was like a lot of like what you like that, and then at some point it kind of evolved where it kind of like was flipped on his head, and now it's like a whole bunch of like bros really love Bieber and his music, and it was just like interesting, huh? How like you guys are like not at all into that, and then something changed somewhere in there, right? To me, I think he's always been something of a fascinating, figure in like his music. Sure, you can say it's like not, I guess, the best, but it definitely has a devoted following to it. And there was just, I mean, there's an argument to be made that like he's kind of like the last of his breed so far in terms of like the superstardom, because he really just kind of like explode on there and he was like everywhere. Not that doesn't happen today, but that
at
was
least like for guys. Like I feel like right now it's like all like the pop girlies that are kind of going big. But I mean even then like he was kind of alone in his like when he like really blew up
success.
Yeah, like there wasn't, I mean like maybe the only other people are like One Direction, but even then it was like totally different.
Even these days it's totally different, because like what is One Direction these days?
Yeah.
It's like that's a whole other mess to get into. It's just Jesus Christ. But yeah, and what I recall very vividly is I want to say that there was a big issue, I think, when like his voice was changing.
Yeah.
And I think like it's really interesting now because, well, we'll get to that, I guess, in a bit there with the whole performance. But I think it was kind of an interesting like challenge for him. I think I recall vividly he was performing a song at the American Music Awards. Back then, they were in November, where they should have been. I don't know why they moved them, but whatever. But anyway, because that was the time of year to have them. But he was performing a song, and he was having a hard time. Like, I think his voice was cracking in parts, and it was like, oh boy, like that's a moment where it's like make or break. It's like, ooh, can we get this thing like turned around? But of course, he had access to like the best people around him, and I think he discovered a different part of his voice that he felt a lot more comfortable singing in. And I think the modern Bieber sound that I think began with that era that you pointed to, that Sorry song, came from the Purpose era, and he leaned a lot more into a lower key, a lower register that he sounded pretty comfortable in, and he kind of like that's been his sound for like the majority of the stuff that he's released at that point. And to me, I generally am a fan of like all his works, and I like both, I guess, eras, or not eras, but I guess like both like parts of like the voice. But part of me has like longed for him to go back into like the upper register, not because like I don't like the lower stuff, but I do think that I don't think he ever lost it. I think he chose not to really use it as much because he couldn't, I guess, like hit the highs as much as he used to. Obviously, when he was like, 14, 15 years old. But then you hear how he was singing recently, and it was like, is it my imagination, or it's like maybe you're not, obviously your voice ain't that high, but like you're kind of like, you could have done this whole time. That's my thing too. It's like, because I remember, like, what was it? It was I think it was the Believe album. That's the album that has like Beauty and a Beat, which really blew up in the last 2 weeks. As Long as You Love Me, that was that era that was there. But there was like some numbers in that album that you're like, you've got a great voice. He always had a great voice, but like he really leaned away from going into that part of it. But then, and maybe, I don't know if you got this impression, but like when he was performing on both weekends, I saw both of the performances, but when he was, especially like going back into those old songs, part of me kind of like seemed like he himself was surprised that he could still hit those notes,
all of this.
We can now. Let's do it. That was my segue.
Yeah. I think the first weekend, I think, is so special. And like, okay, I have so many thoughts. Because I know there's like the part where people are like, oh my God, like you could see the change in him as he's performing. And then you have like these other people that are like, he's just in a laptop and sweats. I am again, I'm not a big fan, but I am a very empathetic person, and I could see how like healing this was for him. And like I didn't cry, but at the end and like the next day, all day, I was like, do you think he was happy? Like he just looks so happy. And like, well, yeah, how you were saying that the Beauty and the Beat song, like you could see just how special that moment was for him. And
the crowd was singing the songs, and he was like, oh wait, I'm Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and like go up and sing the song. And it was just like, whoa, okay, like dude, you got it. You've always had it. You never lost it.
No,
and you never lost them. You never lost them
either.
Like I agree with you that he has long suffered from like confidence issues. And I think it's warranted considering how people talk about him and dog him and all this here and that there. But like the one thing that to me has always been undeniable is the talent. He had it. He always has had it. And I feel like when you're in the public eye for as long as you are, like as he has been, it can get to you.
Well, yeah.
The things that are said.
And then, like, I guess, like, to the people that are like, oh, he's just in a laptop in sweats. Like, I mean, we've heard 1,000, think pieces on what he did and like what it means.
Literally.
And, I think because I still have like people that I know that are like, I don't know, like I would have been upset if I would have paid that much to do that. I think the thing for me is like, I think this wasn't like for his fans. Like I truly think this was for himself and like,
Yeah.
healing that part of himself with everybody there with him. And then
Yeah.
also like Coachella is like meant to be this like experimental thing with music and live performance and like
Not the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, like I think
it's not supposed to be the same thing.
Yeah, like if I was a fan, like a fan, I think I would have been more upset if I had paid a ticket to only go see him. You know what I mean? Like to go see
that was
his
a concert.
Yeah. But like this was like, if anything, this was a moment to do this.
But I think that goes back to people like having various different mindsets about not just what Coachella is, but then also like what your preference in music is. Like for me, I like a variety of artists and music, but there are a lot of people who have like certain flavors, and if like there are artists that don't cater to those flavors or let's just say style of performance, then they automatically like fall asleep. Like I'm gonna give you an example. Recently, we talked a lot about how Leon Thomas is like getting big with like his music. I saw him live with the Bruno concert. Like he was one of the opening acts. But a lot of people, and I saw in the comments, were like, dude, he bored me to tears. And I'm like, are you
like,
kidding me?
Yeah.
I like what? Like, and I was stunning to me because I guess, and it's not that it was bad. It's just his style of music is not upbeat and dancing like Bruno's is. It's a lot more R&B soul, like slowed. Like that's what R&B is supposed to be, and people are like critiquing it. It was like with Usher a few years ago at the Super Bowl halftime show. Not that it was the best ever, but like his style of performance in his genre of music is not the same thing as like, Beyonce or Lady Gaga, where they're gonna give you like the show-stopping numbers. Like they're not all the same thing. So in my view, they shouldn't all be compared to each other or the same. They're very different. But there are people who are like, well, if you got J-Lo and Shakira doing an amazing job, and then they compare it to like Coldplay, which I'm gonna say Coldplay was the best show, but like not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like at all. And I think people get like a little bit like they forget that like not all music is meant to hit you the same way. That's why we have different artists. That's why we have different genres, right? Like it's not all like if you go to what was it? If you go see like an older artist, it's like, are you gonna go? You think you're gonna see them like dance?
And like I like when artists like go like stray away from their normal sound. Like last year at Coachella, there's a duo group that I really got into because they came out in the Tiny Desk series. They're called,
I love that series.
I know. They're called Catriel and Paco Moroso. So they had their own set. Like they were in the lineup. But then later on I think it was that same day or it might have been the next day, the LA Philharmonic was in the lineup and they came out and Cantriel and Paco Amoroso went and sang with the symphony.
Wow.
Like I love when people, because that's what they are at the end of the day. Like they're artists. They're supposed to like, I don't know. Because then why would you want the same of everything? I don't know. It's so funny to me.
So I guess the point overall, it's like the critique that a lot of people were throwing to Bieber just seemed generally not just unfair, but then also just like not serious when you were thinking about all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then also with like, there's the other layer of like, well, what kind of Bieber fan are you? Are you only a fan of like his earlier stuff, which is like pop mainstream hits? Or are you a fan of his newer material, which is a little bit more of an R&B skew to it? More mid-tempo and less up-tempo stuff. Like the old stuff, which is like, Baby, what's it called? Somebody to Love, all these different like really like big pop songs versus Daisies, which is in and of itself is a huge hit, but it's not the same flavor or the same style of music.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe to it. And a lot of the new Bieber stuff is like on that wavelength. And so it's not necessarily built to dance, and which is great and okay too. But I feel like this comes into a problem, or it comes to a head when you've been programmed to think that the headliner for the Coachella Music Festival is somehow the same thing, or supposed to be the same thing, as the headliner for the Super Bowl halftime show, which is like to me, like there are a lot of artists who I think should probably never accept being headline performers at the Super Bowl because of how ravenous and unforgiving a lot of music fans are about like what they've come to expect as a halftime show. Like, it's a big deal to be the performer because, like, music sales go up and everything. But, like, I don't even know if it's worth anymore, like, the hate that comes your way. Just because how you perform is not the mainstream of how people want their halftime show to be. And I think that's kind of, in some ways, beginning to affect the Coachella headlining situation.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was great. I don't know. Like, I was just like happy for him. Because again, I don't really know a lot of the songs. But I was so happy for him. Like he had the biggest smile, which I feel like we hadn't seen in years. I don't know.
Right. And then also the funniest thing though, it's like the Weeknd too, the immediate switch up, like he had a lot more energy.
Yeah, that too.
And some hilarious reactions were coming through that night when I was watching. First of all, like I didn't watch all of the first full show, but because I was at a concert, hilariously enough. So I didn't like actually get a chance to see it then, but I was home the following weekend and I was like, well, I'm not doing anything. Let's go put this on. I'll put it on. And I had an amazing time and also kind of an emotional time too, because when he was singing those older songs, it was like I had never in my wildest dreams thought not only would he bother singing them, but also like kind of in a way recreating the voice almost exactly how it was. I was like, whoa. So it kind of took me back over here. But it felt very intimate. It felt like in a way, it almost didn't feel like you were there. It was like, wow, this is like a really special like thing that's going on. And then how he was interacting with the crowd too, which is like, with him, he's had a bit of a contentious relationship with like the paparazzi and with fame lately. So for him to kind of embrace that and to like literally like encourage the people in the front row to like put their hands all over him, that was like, whoa, I didn't think like you'd care to do that ever again. And then to even like single out a fan
again, it just feels like it was so healing for him.
Yes,
and I feel like that's I don't know. I feel like that's the thing that people need to take away from it the most. Like, aside from everything, your opinions on whether he should have gone all out or not, like I feel like that was going all out for him,
Yeah. But then also it ignores, the progression and the growth of an artist. Bieber as an artist and a performer is not who he used to be. Like he used to do like all these like huge shows with like choreography and dancers and a whole bunch of pyrotechnic. That's the pop star manufacturer Justin Bieber that I don't think exists anymore. This is somebody else. I think a much more seasoned performer, but then also just I think to me, I love big shows, but that's not really what gets me going, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any substitute for a gifted performer and a microphone, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't really have to do much of anything. Just if you sing great and you've got some great songs, that's all you got to do. Like for me, like I know for years and years and years at like award shows, you'd watch like big performances, and those are great too. But it's hard for me to think of many big stadium or award show performances that match a stripped down performance when you just have the song and the artist. Like with Tiny Desk, for example,
Mm-hmm.
is one of those where it's like you just get to have that intimacy and you get to really see the power a
It's like
song an artist has.
it's like when they would do the like the MTV Unplugged and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like still to this day we talk about the Nirvana one. There's one that they did in
Mm.
Spanish who like even who are they called? La Ley? I don't know if you know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I think about them, I think of MTV Unplugged and that like soundtrack or album that they did, you know? Like I don't know. I just think it's okay to have these big things, but it's also okay to do stuff like this. And, it's all, I don't know. People just take things too seriously. I don't know.
You can say I take them too seriously, but also you can also just say they're just not very well informed either, and they have very unrealistic expectations for what they're actually going to experience. It's a lot of all of that, I think, mixed together.
Yeah.
For sure. But ultimately, cool event.
Yeah.
And very special for that individual.
Last year, the Lady Gaga one. Oh, like that one has to be like my all-time like favorite performance, not just in Coachella, like ever, and that was big and grand and like all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Justin Bieber one is also gonna like stick with me for a long time, even if I
Yeah.
don't know like a lot of his music and stuff.
Have there been any rumors about who's coming next year as the headliner?
A lot of people are saying, what's her name, Zara Larson.
Mm.
A lot of people are saying Bruno Mars.
I've seen that too, which would be curious. It would make sense in that if you think about Bieber
Chappell
and
Roan,
Gaga
I
the
think
previous
people are
2
saying
years,
Chappell Roan.
I think Gaga was last year, just had a new record out. Boom, there you
Mhm.
go. Bieber just had a new record out. Here he was. Bruno just released a new record, and I'm going to expect that one's going to be in the consciousness for a while.
I want
Which
Rosalia to go back.
that's going to be interesting. Speaking of Bruno, can we get into the next thing, which is I think this is actually something I really want to get into because I don't know how you feel personally about him or his music. I think sometimes you're kind of hard to read about like how you feel about music, and I think you and I have some things that we like together, and then there are some things that we kind of go our own way and like, well, maybe we don't care as much about this. But I've had there's been an ongoing fascination with not just him, but with different artists who have very much established a signature sound. And when they release new music and it's their signature sound, there's a lot of people that just come out of the woodwork and like completely downplay it or dismiss the project because, well, it's the same thing we've heard from them before, So why is this a thing that exists? And you know what? Not to dismiss those people too hard, but, there's a part of it that's fair. Okay, sure. Maybe if you're coming from the standpoint of like, well, can you give us something new? Okay, I get that. But then also, I really don't like that attitude because it always, from my point of view, comes at the expense of the project and people not really appreciating it or engaging with it for what it actually is versus what they wished it would be. And I think we get into a problem. I think we encountered that problem a lot, not just with music, but with movies especially. When it's like, oh, it's this artist. Does it compare to what he had before? If it doesn't, does it have any value? And then we get into this here and that there. And that always kind of like annoys me personally. Um, but this has been an artist who, I'll just put it to you very clearly. I've been really wowed by from the very first time that I heard his voice. That voice has stuck with me throughout all these years. And I do think he has one of the best voices in the industry today. And from what I've seen, even just at award shows, because back then I would watch a lot of music award shows, because that's when the early 2010s and early 2010s, like pop music, it was like
Mm-hmm.
that. I can like tell you religiously like what era that is, what year that was. Nowadays, God help me. But then it was like, yeah, especially like 2013, the year that we graduated, that was like, yep, I knew that, I knew that, I knew that. I could sing you those songs very clearly. And his performances were always just like, wow, easily among the best live vocals, which is, I feel, something that isn't really appreciated enough, not just with, and I don't mean him, I just mean generally in music today. That, and I do hear this sentiment every now and then of like, man, where are the vocalists
Yeah.
of this generation, when it comes to pop music? Now, that isn't to say that there aren't any, because obviously we've got Gaga, we've got Adele, we've got like a bunch of people here and there that've got a big booming voice and an iconic voice too. I think Bruno is in that company. But a lot of the new up and comers, let's just say post 2013, don't necessarily have that. And to be fair, they were never going for that. Not to like, dismiss those artists, but I think it should be said that, generations before had a Mariah, they had a Whitney, they had a Michael, a Stevie Wonder, a Luther Vandross, like people who would like be these amazing vocalists who you would not believe how amazing they would sound like when you would watch them live in person or on TV. And again, I don't want to say we don't have any of those for us or the new people up and coming, but there definitely has been a trend away from that sound, which is interesting. And I wouldn't say it's altogether bad that there was a move away from that, because I mean, I don't think every artist, again, should be a power vocalist, but it's gotten to the point where you're not hearing as many of those, and that's a bit troublesome, because you rub up against another issue that I've noticed people complain about with pop music especially, is the decline in quality of live performers
Mm.
in recent years, which I think lends credence to the idea that we might need to see a return to a style of music that is like wowzers, that's like really, really good. So
Draconian.
before I get in, say it again. Yes, yes. Before I move on to, right, not move on, but just like dig even deeper into like the Bruno of it all and my experience with like seeing him in his shows. Any comment on what I just said? Do you generally find, have you seen some of the things that I've mentioned for yourself? Is there any area there that you feel it differently on?
I mean, I see what you're saying. I just I try to expand my like music
Yeah,
knowledge. I don't know.
right.
So I haven't felt the need to, or not the need, like the absence of like somebody that could do that, or somebody capable of doing that. I also think that
Mm-hmm.
like Miley Cyrus can do that. You have Ariana Grande. Like I think Sabrina Carpenter can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um like I think it's all there. I think it's just the music that they're making. Maybe not Miley and maybe not Ariana. Maybe Ariana a little bit, but like just I feel like the music that they're making, they're not like going for it. Like
Mm-hmm.
Sabrina's last album, um like I thought was fine. I can't really like name any of the songs. But she has such a powerful voice too, and I feel like she's not like using it. I don't know. That's just how I feel when it comes to like stuff like that. Like I think we have them. I just think that the type of music that they're making doesn't allow them to show that,
Yeah.
which, you know, so I don't know.
No, yeah, I feel the same way. I think that suggests to the trends, right?
And then it's also like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know a lot of like the behind the scenes with the music stuff, but I think a lot of at least like the pop people, like the more mainstream people use a lot of the same producers, which in turn
Yes.
like it all kind of just sounds the same, you know? I don't know. That's how I feel.
I mean, it really isn't all that dissimilar from movies, right? Like if
Yeah,
you're using the
uh-huh.
same people, and if everything is produced by the same 10 people, you're going to get a lot of homogeneity. That's just how these things work.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I was able to see Bruno in concert in the last 2 weeks. I was there for the second night of the launch of the Romantic World Tour, and I gotta tell you, it was really nice that it really coincided with a new album that I think it came out the month before, or I think about a month before. And again, with him, it's like there really hasn't been anything. I feel like he's always made music that I've like really liked to loved. The only one that I maybe would say like the Unorthodox Jukebox, I think like had hits and I love those hits, but overall I didn't really care for that album too much. But I really love like 24 Karat Magic, that whole out record. I remember vividly when it came out. It was like maybe because it was after Trump won, but it was like 2016, late 2016, and I was like, it made me feel great, and I needed to feel great at that time. And then I think it was in 2018 during his residency at the Park MGM Theater. I know that we had a big group that was really dying to go see him, but like the tickets were so limited. So I feel like where like our group would have been like at least 14 people easily, they were only able to secure 5 tickets. So only 5 of us could go, and it was really special because like they all like the people who let's just say were able to get those tickets in our group were like, okay, we're pumped up. We had a great time. And the venue really, I think, was suited to the experience where it's like he wasn't so far away. We were on a balcony, I guess, like our second like layer or level, but we were seeing enough, and it was like, I mean, he sounded just as good as like you'd watch on TV or you'd hear on the actual song recording. So it was like a very memorable experience. That was like 2018. Then cut to like 2 weeks ago, and it was like the launch of the world tour, and it was like a lot more like songs, and it was a bigger stage and a lot more people. It was like a 65,000 people like attendance, like that arena. And I think like, what was it? I think he performed like 16 songs in 2018. Now that the set list was like expanded to like 28, like he had like more hits since then, like the Silk Sonic project with like Leave the Door Open, Die with a Smile with Lady Gaga, and then of course like his new stuff, which is also obviously hitting very well. I guess like to me it's I don't know. Generally, the sound that Bruno is hitting, which a lot of the times feels like 70s, 80s soul R&B, I love. I've always loved that sound. And I guess a lot of people don't. And so when they hear that that's like a persistent thing in his music, a lot of people are like, it ain't for me. It's cool. And that might be where you feel too. But
I
like,
love Bruno
and
Mars.
but it's just like, and that's why I say might, because I can't tell. It's just
We've
like,
talked about
first
this before. I love Bruno
have we?
Mars.
I don't think we've ever talked about
Bruno
this
Mars is
before.
like
When
the
have we-
one. Well, Bruno Mars and Adele are like the maybe like the two artists me and my dad are like agree that like they're so good in like this generation or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I love Bruno Mars.
When have we ever talked about this? I don't
We've
recall
talked
ever
about this.
discussing this.
We were talking about you going to the concert in Vegas. We've talked about this before.
Okay. Okay. I guess I have a poor memory. Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, just by the way, he's coming to LA
I
in
know.
October. I'm available, and I really don't care how much it costs. So
Depends on when it is, because I'm actually going to the concerts that month already.
October 3rd, I want to say. I think I said like Friday or Saturday, October 3rd and October 4th.
Maybe. I don't remember what days they are.
Because, like, if I've asked, like, cousins and they want to go, but they don't want to spend.
Yeah, that too. I don't know.
I know, but, like, but I also was like, I don't know, like, have you ever just waited at the last minute and see, like, what pops up and, like, if, like, people are reselling? I feel like
I almost did that with Bad Bunny with the Un Verano Sin Ti tour, but I ended up
what
not doing
happened?
it.
Why not?
I don't know. Well, the day that he was here, we had gone to Universal Studios, and then on the way back, we were like, should we do it? Should we not do it? And then we got home, and we were like, I'm tired.
That's the mistake you made. Yeah. You went home. If you went home, it all goes downhill. But if you had like said yes, I don't think you would have been tired because you would have been at a Bad Bunny concert.
Yeah, I would have shown up with my Harry Potter attire.
That would have been hilarious if that was the case. No, but I'm being serious, so I'll mention it again because I that's something I for sure want to do again. Look, that should just tell you what an amazing experience I had because like I mean I know every song, and so every song he performed, I was like, Jesus, this is so good. And the thing about him that I love about his shows is he is never satisfied with just doing a carbon copy of the arrangement on the recording.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. Yeah. My favorite band, I've seen them like 3 or 4 times already, and they do like different arrangements for all of their songs, and every time it's like, why did they do
It's this? Like new all over again, you know?
It's so fun. And like, I don't know. I just think this is what they're meant to do. Why not just do it? I don't know.
No, for sure. To me, like he understands like what it means to be a live performer, and he never makes things feel stale. For as some of the songs that he's been singing are, he finds like new like, and I've also been seeing clips like in the 2 weeks since I've seen him of other shows performing the same songs, and he's not performing them exactly the same way. Like he does a different note up here, a different note down there, different like way of tackling it. And I to me, that's what I love to see in a great singer and performer like him. And you would think with his main instrument, which is his like amazing voice, you'd think that would be enough. But that's not all that he does. Like he's like dancing and performing a whole bunch of instruments too. Like there was the second song, I think he was doing like the bongos.
Mm-hmm. But the band that I was talking about right now, they do the banjo.
Interesting. That's interesting. And then like, you know, the piano, dude, it was so good. Like some of the stuff he was doing on the piano, he was doing a medley of 3 hits. It was I think it was It Will Rain, Talking to the Moon, and then When I Was Your Man. And like the whole crowd was just like arrested in silence, which is like how amazing that sounded. And then the thing with Bruno is like he has such anthems. The show just gets better as it goes. Like in the middle, there's like this whole Silk Sonic section with Anderson .Paak, who's on the tour as well. And then when they get to like Smoking Out the Window, which only Bruno would think, oh yeah, let's insert a Michael Jackson song in the middle. Because we're going to expand Smoking Out the Window and put Remember the Time, which to me is an underrated gem of Michael Jackson's catalog, if you ask me, in there.
His movie comes out this weekend.
Yeah, that's going to be something interesting. Are you going to watch it?
I already have my ticket.
I'm sure you. So let me ask you this question, because this a tangent on the other side, because I'm I'm at the moment not gonna watch it because I'm sick, sick of like biopic movies. Like I don't know, like this just seems to me like Bohemian Rhapsody 2.
It's gonna be
Or
bad.
Bohemian Rhapsody 3.
It's gonna be bad.
But that's the thing. Is like you're not watching it for the story. You're watching for the music, right? Yes, that's what it is. So,
which is why I've watched all the other ones.
Yeah, which is why people watch it in the first place. They're not watching necessarily a good movie. I guess it's just the next best thing to going to a concert, right?
And I can't go to his concert, so I need to go watch him.
I mean, he's dead. I mean, he's been dead for a while now. In 3 years, he would have been dead 20 years. Yeah. So, anywho, we'll see how that. I wonder how that movie is going to be received. It's going to be interesting. The discourse, I just know, it's going to be a discourse.
It's going to be bad. It's going to be so bad. I can't. I'm not ready.
Nuclear, probably.
I'm gonna just like cover my eyes and my ears and just ignore everything.
Yeah, just enjoy the music.
Yeah.
Which I mean, you did hear the recent story about the reshoots, right? About how they took something out of the.
Yeah,
of the movie.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be bad. Like, I think I think a lot of people are going in like expecting like to listen to the music and all that stuff, but I don't think they're expecting the story that we're gonna get. I don't know. It's gonna be bad. I don't know.
I mean, they basically took out a lot of the.
They took out like
salacious
his second half of the story.
Yeah.
Of his life. I don't know.
I guess because they're gonna do a part 2.
Yeah, that also I don't understand because part 2 is what they took out. So I don't know.
Also, this gets up. It kind of reminds me of a Wicked situation because it's a Wicked Part 1, Wicked Part 2.
Yeah.
Part 2 if Part 1 is all the fun stuff.
And I love Part 2 music, so I don't know how that's gonna go.
Yeah, but I meant not so much the music, but the real life stuff.
I know. That's why I'm like, how are they going to incorporate it? Because a lot of his part 2 music.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting if they do make that movie, which I believe they will. How they arrange it, but if I were to make a prediction, I would say that this is gonna be received pretty badly. You'll have people who are like, well, the songs are great. Well, duh, they're great.
There's gonna be a lot of people because like a lot of people know his life, so
intently.
Yeah. I'm one of those.
Yeah. I know a lot about. I mean, I love Michael Jackson's music. I mean, like Jesus Christ. I mean, it's a great story. I mean, it's also just a very, very complicated story too, because it gets into some areas where it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
And I feel like it's gonna be like, oh, this is like dumb, and then 2, it's gonna be those people who are like, well, this didn't happen. This didn't happen this way. I feel like that's gonna be like the 2. Oh, and then there's gonna be the 3rd of like, why are you guys watching this movie and supporting this?
Yeah, I think to me the best biopic that I've seen in recent memory is the one where the artist was involved and encouraging the filmmakers to make it a story, and also not shying away from the substance abuse and not and encouraging the filmmaker to not, put rose-colored lenses on everything. Elton John, Rocket Man. That was the one, and where it was inspired
like the
because it used to be, but now no. Now the standard is Bohemian Rhapsody, right? Because I mean, I've even lost count like of the biopics that have come out. What was it? Bob Dylan, Whitney Houston, Bob Marley.
I forgot the Whitney Houston.
What was it? Aretha Franklin. They're all the same movie, and they don't make an impact. I wonder why. But Rocket Man did, and Rocket Man was inspired because it was actually a musical in spots. Like, go figure. And this is the thing. Like, now, granted, Bohemian Rhapsody, who even knows who gets the credit for directing that movie because you know, but like the person who was hired to put the final finishings of Bohemian Rhapsody also directed Rocket Man, and you're like, what? It
I think he just did the best that he could, and that was
with what they had on the cutting room floor, basically. But yeah, no, I'm curious to see what the Michael discourse is going to be, but we're going to see a lot of heated, contentious, just crap, I want to say, about it. Yeah. Anyway, have a good time there.
Thank you.
With that. But no, Bruno is just an amazing performer, and you know, I definitely have like that post-concert FOMO. That's why I'm watching the clips on TikTok. That's why I've been sending them to you because I'm like, I think she wants to go. I'm gonna send some more clips so you know, get her into the idea of like going. It's an incredible show, and we should do it. And I also do feel The Romantic is a great record.
Oh my God, it's so good.
The more I listen to it, the more I'm like, is this the best one? Like, I mean, legitimately, I love all his music. And the one that really like hit for me was 24 Karat Magic. I have found, as people tell me personally, that the Silk Sonic era was a bit divisive. Which is really curious because despite the divisiveness, you had massive hits like Leave the Door Open, Smoking Out the Window, and their cover of like Love Train. And it was like, well, we've got hits. And yet people, I guess that there was, of a fracturing. I guess because maybe it was more catered to like a more traditional sounding 70s soul and not so much. I think that was
amazing.
But that's what I'm thinking. And but then I'm like, but to me, but that was the direction Bruno was already heading. Like if you hear 24 Karat Magic and you hear the Silk Sonic record, it's like, yeah, that's the trajectory it's going.
Yeah.
And then when you put in the Romantic, it's like some of those are, maybe all of them, like it's an amazing record. And it felt really special to me that like I was watching him perform all those amazing new songs live for the first time and sound even better than he sounded when he recorded them. But yeah, like an amazing set list too. I feel like, and again, he at this point has had like a great career where it's like he's not going to be able to find a way to put all of like the songs in there. But I think the songs that he took out, I had already heard like in the last one that I went to. So the one which, when I'm going to say may sound sacrilegious, like he did not include these songs, but the ones that he didn't include, I did hear before, so I was okay with it. Which were, "Runaway Baby."
Oh no!
Which is like
no.
I can't believe he took that out because I feel that has been a mainstay for like the entire. I can't imagine he won't put it back in at some point. And the other one was "Grenade."
I mean, I like it, but "Runaway Baby."
It's not "Runaway Baby." No, but he did put in "Marry You," and I didn't hear that one.
I think that's my favorite song of his.
Like I love that song. I remember. Well, did Glee use that song at one point?
That's why I love it.
I think that's why. Yes, I have a vivid memory of like that song being used at a Glee. I don't even recall the context
like his version
the characters.
better, but
yeah, obviously, but the point is how it was used. It made an impact.
Yeah.
I also remember I have this hilarious memory of
Oh my God! Speaking of Glee, did you see the clip or the TikTok that Lea Michele posted?
No, what happened there?
There was I think they were, I can't remember if it was the first season or second season. It was like one of the earlier seasons, and it was like when they went to New York for the first time with the school to do like the finals or whatever.
Okay.
And she went to this restaurant. I forgot what the restaurant is, but it's like an actual restaurant where like a bunch of like Tony Award winners have like their picture taken or drawn. And it's like just a famous restaurant where like I guess like the Tonys were kind of started there, like kind of like historic in that aspect. And her and Finn go eat, and she's like in like in the episode, she's like, I'm gonna have my picture up there one day, and and like Finn is like looking at her, and like it's all like sweet. And she this past weekend, I think, or maybe the weekend before, Leah Michelle got her picture put up there, and she posted like that clip.
Wow.
I can't. I can't. I was crying.
That's great. That's great. But yeah, uh, I, something of a memory that just like was in my mind. I remember, our friend Kyle, right? Sometimes he has had some interesting takes in the past, not have all aged all that gracefully. Especially takes from high school. But I have this memory of being in Mr. C's class and what was it? I don't even recall how it got brought up, but like Bruno Mars's song "Just the Way You Are," and Kyle was just like saying how like it was like not a good song, and me and this other girl were like, "Excuse me?"
False.
Yeah, that was not a great moment for one Mr. Kyle era right there. That's funny. But no, the set list is, I think, like jam packed of other like great stuff in there too. Like, I feel like my very first memory of Bruno Mars, "Nothing on You" with B.O.B. That's like the very first
Oh
like
yeah,
song
I
I've
remember my
heard
dad
of
was
his.
obsessed with that. No, Billionaire.
Oh,
Millionaire?
"Billionaire" was the other one
Yeah,
there too.
that's the one he
Yeah,
was
"Billionaire."
obsessed with. Like I would listen to it all the time because he would play it all the time.
Yeah, and then of course came "Just the Way You Are," "Marry You," "Runaway Baby," "Grenade," and that, "Lazy Song." That whole record was just like hit after
Yeah.
hit after hit. It was like that kind of established him very early on. And yeah, and even then, it was like the voice carried him so far, but the songs were great. But then, like as the years went along, people were realizing, holy shit, this guy's amazing live. He's a great performer. And it was special, I guess, in a way, being a part of history, like, with him
His
and
like
opening up
Grammy
the stadium.
performances.
Yes.
His
Yes.
his tribute to Prince. Oh my god.
He did a tribute to like Amy Whitehouse, I
Oh
think,
yeah, that
when
one
she passed away. That
too.
was really good. He's had some great like memorable performances. But I was saying that it was nice to be a part of history with like I guess the opening of the world tour, and it coincided because Vegas is like a special place in his heart and his wallet apparently. But he got a street named after him. The day that the tour opened,
Oh.
and I will say, we were there the second night. And I think we got the better show because apparently, from what I heard, the opening day, his vocals were not the best. He didn't sound bad. I've heard those clips. It was just like he apparently, and this is true of other tours, it takes him like one or two shows to like adjust to like, which is normal, I think, for any artist. Like, it's like if you're doing a whole set, maybe you're not going to sound the best the first night. It takes a while to get your voice trained
it's like working
in the way that you
out.
want to. That's just how
You're
it,
gonna be
right?
sore.
Like, yeah. So, but from what other people who were there from both nights, they were saying like, yeah, he was way better the second night, and from what I'm seeing, he's even way better like week 2, week 3. Because, duh, that's just how this thing works. People were like, so he's losing his voice. So he's not. I mean, he is 40, which is kind of hard to believe. So, I mean, at some point, it's not going to be what it used to be. But so far,
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty amazing. So, I'm going to say it again. Keep me tuned in. We should go. It's going to hurt your wallet, but you're going to feel good being there. You know? So, yeah. That's all cool and everything. Anything else to say about this? I guess not. No. Okay. How have you been feeling about? I know that we haven't had a chance to really talk about these topics in a few weeks, but we've been talking a long while now, you and I, about the fascinating decline of the incompetence and stupidity of the Democratic Party and establishment politics. I got to tell you, it was pretty glorious to see how amazingly it backfired on establishment Democrats and the media for trying to cancel Hassan Piker. They really had no idea what they were doing, because what they ended up doing not only failed to cancel him, but it kind of made him bigger, a much bigger deal. And it made it, because the media made Hassan already a focal point, and because of how much people rushed to his defense and dismissed those attacks, he now is an unavoidable figure in the 2028 presidential primary. And take note of the bitches and losers who are not going to go anywhere near him, and those who are going to embrace him now and go on his show.
Yeah.
Because they want that sweet, sweet audience. But they also know he ain't no player. He's going to ask real questions. He's going to ask realer questions than some of those reporters that you would see on CNN or MS Now or all those other like networks. But in a weird monkey's paw way, this is exactly what a lot of the Ezra Kleins and the New York Times columnists were saying in the postmortem of 2024. Was like, we need our own Joe Rogan. We need someone who's going to like go out there and like champion our thoughts. But they didn't mean Hassan, because he's too real for them. He's too much of a Democrat for them. Because if we're being 100% real here, the establishment Dems, the mainstream media, New York Times, the corporate wing, they're barely even Democrats, to tell you the truth. Like, to say that they're not even progressives, it's like, well, that's just scratching the surface. They're barely even Democrats when they're pro-Israel, pro-corporations, and anti-anything that's going to help working people. It's kind of what you are. And so they got their wish, but not just who they wanted. They now have a left equivalent, maybe even bigger. I think by the time we get to 2028, Hassan will be, I think, bigger than Joe Rogan at this point. I think he maybe already is. And he definitely has a far more legitimate voice, because he has conviction in the ideas that he believes in. Whereas Joe Rogan is a thundering dumbass that is just like, he's become Trump's bitch, just like Alex Jones. Well, Alex Jones was never a legitimate voice. He's always been a kook. But even he is like waffling and like crying on air, like, because he can no longer
This
even
isn't what
defend
I
a lot of the
voted
things.
for.
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
yeah, whatever. But yeah, that's kind of been what's happening. The media literally took 4 weeks to talk about this issue. And I gotta tell you, I think they're legitimately surprised it didn't work this time.
I know.
Because this trick usually works, because they played this very effectively against Bernie.
But they don't know what they're, I mean, not that they did before, but at least they had some type of idea. But like, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know.
No.
Like, they're so tied to whatever money they're getting from whoever that like they can't do anything right.
This whole thing started and ended, because it kind of bookended this whole month. But for those who are not aware, in the state of Michigan, which is one of the most important states in the whole country, it is a true bona fide battleground state. And I gotta say, we do context here. Michigan never had any business being a battleground state, because why? Obama won that state easily both times. And it speaks to the decline in competency of electoral politics on the part of the Democrats, that they've lost that state twice to Donald Trump in 3 presidential elections and barely won it in 2020 thanks to COVID. So to me, it's like the heartland in a lot of ways. It's the lifeline. If you're doing well in that state, I think to me it's the new Ohio. They used to say Ohio was like the state where it's like if you won that one, oftentimes you'd win the election. Michigan, I think, is a new bellwether. And what's happening in Michigan this time around is, in a lot of ways, a repeat of the same kind of things you would see on the presidential level. You have three candidates. Haley McStevens, who is hot garbage, endorsed by Chuck Schumer, fascist collaborator Chuck Schumer, by the way, and is a pro-Israel, pro-corporations, everything. Democrat, right? And that's the one the leadership picks. Interesting. Then you have McMorrow, who is white Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
White Kamala Harris it likes to pretend she's progressive, but is really a liberal in a lot of ways.
She's the one that was like, what did she say? We need an alpha or something like that. Was that her?
That was Alyssa. That was a different lady. That was a different white lady. Senator Slotkin, who is, by the way, the other senator from Michigan. So it is kind of related to all of this. But yeah, she's a dumb bitch too. But McMorrow, by the way, it was funny how like she was like, I'm not gonna go on Hassan's show. Like, he calls me stupid. Oh no. I wonder why. I think she literally said that bullshit. Anyway, the person who kicked all this off was McMorrow. Because she was asked about like Hassan Piker, and she basically, like, she was the one that threw the first punch, unwarranted. I don't know why. But the other candidate was Abdul Al-Sayed, Dr. Sayed, who is a true progressive, has the Bernie endorsement, has the Hassan endorsement. Obviously, he's the one to go, very clearly. Anyway, McMorrow is the one that kicked off this entire thing by saying that Hassan Piker was the same as Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes, who is a self-affirmed Nazi. And that's the firestorm that kicked everything off. Because then a whole bunch of other like corporate Democrats went out there and was like, you go, McMorrow, I'm going to have your back. Like that dumb bitch Slotkin was like, or Cory Booker of all people.
He needs to shut the fuck up already.
He really does. He has such a big mouth. His face of like...
I can't.
He does have a dumb face. He has a really dumb face. That's funny. And they were like, oh, yeah. They were beginning the failed bandwagon to cancel Hassan. And then it completely fell on its face, because then you had like Pod Safe America, which is like, it used to be like Liberal City, an extension of the Obama network. But those guys have really, I think, not divorced, but like have like, they're kind of like the liberal whisperers, in that they're getting a lot more neoliberal voters to think more progressive ideas than they would before. Because in the last year, they've been a lot more, Graham Plattner in Maine, he's the one. We got to go with him. And they've had Hassan a few times now, and they're like, no, this guy's a good guy. He's genuine. Like his beliefs and his ideas should be heard. And he's not the same as Nick Fuentes. Like, come on here.
Yeah.
And also, like, you guys were making a big deal how Democrats should go on anyone's platform. Why are you now going to cancel something? Like, you see, it's like, so they got a lot of pushback.
Even then, like, the fact that these people are fighting with him, he's literally on the internet.
He's a streamer. He's a streamer.
I don't understand. It's crazy.
And, it was a hilarious media story, but I think ultimately, a necessary one. I'm glad that this happened, because I feel like it's a turning point, and I feel like it's a turning point that the establishment and the media themselves don't quite know how to handle just yet, which is, I think, exciting. And when you go back to Michigan, which is where this thing started. By the way, I don't even know what the hell possessed McMorrow to make those comments, because the race was tied. It was tied. It was a 3-way tie, which is, I think, funny, because When you think about those three candidates, who do they remind you of? Okay, Haley McStevens is obviously Biden. McMorrow is obviously Hillary. And Abdul Al-Sayed is obviously Bernie. Where have we seen this picture turn out before? It's the same all the time. So the race was basically tied before this happened. And now the numbers are showing Abdul is kind of in the lead, or not just gaining, but kind of like taking the lead away, which kind of scares me, because if that's the case, well, those two, they know the tricks they can pull to block him from winning, which is like, hey, you drop out, I endorse you. And then, which is what they pulled with Bernie in 2020, right? They do this all the time. But for now,
I have hope.
Yes, for now, it's worked out. It's worked out in a way that's very encouraging to see, because what we're seeing now is a lot of those liberal tactics that sunk Bernie Sanders' campaign twice, they're falling flat. Like, that's why I was keeping a huge eye on the Texas race, because Tallarico, who was like keeping his eye on the ball about like calling out billionaires and corporations. Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett was like, it's racist that you think I would lose against a Republican.
Yeah. It was suspicious. I was talking about this with my coworkers, and like we all liked him, and then I brought that up and they were like, oh, I didn't even know that. And I'm like,
no,
suspicious. I don't know.
It's very suspicious. It's like the same kind of Democrats that just refuse to learn, and they tell themselves all the time, like Cory Booker. So apparently he was invited to go speak for some like Democratic Party event, and he has the nerve to like shame voters again for like not voting for Kamala Harris because they didn't agree 100% with her views. Meanwhile, this bitch literally avoided endorsing Zohran Mamdani at all costs. Do you see how it is, guys? You see the games that they play? And what I'm happy about these last 2 years is it's been very revealing, because look at how successful Mayor Mamdani is.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you sure, he's not accomplished everything. It's been like 3 to 4 months, by the way. But in the span of 3 to 4 months, you know what he's focusing on? Fixing the roads. Fixing the way the subways are run. He's already gotten buses to move a lot faster than they were moving. This is the shit that actually matters to people. And it's always this kind of stuff that Democrats like Cory Booker, like Gavin Newsom, never even think about addressing. And this is why they always lose ground to Republicans, because Republicans can point to X, Y, and Z of like, well, things are not working, things are broken, and people stupidly fall for that. But then at the same time, maybe not so stupidly, because the Democrats like Gavin Newsom don't even think to address these very serious issues that people face on a daily basis. And whatever accomplishments they do have, it's like massaging around the edges and not actually tackling the thing in the center that's causing people to suffer. It's never like that at all. And so I think what's helping is that you're seeing Mamdani showing you how it's done and having very effective communication. Like, he's not like sitting in his desk feeling proud of himself for the accomplishments. No, he's bragging about it. He's organizing rallies, and he's not letting a narrative be set for him.
Yeah.
He's setting the narrative. He's being proactive. He's not going to allow himself to be
he's not just like sitting behind a desk and like doing all these things. He's like,
exactly.
No. Like he's aware of the influence he has, and he's using it the right way.
And what's very helpful is like he's very, very, he's like the most talented politician in the world right now, because like he at the same time is the only Democrat that is able to kind of like get his way with Donald Trump. Like genuinely likes him and leaves him alone.
Because he gets
And,
shit done. Because
yeah. And at the
he knows
same
what he's
time,
talking about. Because he,
and at the same time can get former President Obama to go sing Wheels on the Bus to a elementary school class. But that's not nothing, because that's a huge signal to the insiders in the Democratic Party. If Obama's palling around with Zoran,
it's a little suspicious, but yeah.
well, I guess from our perspective it would be, but I feel like I don't think it is, Alexis. I'll tell you why. Obama's not hard to figure out. He's kind of a scaredy cat. Like, he doesn't like to be on the out. He wants to be on the ins of the Democratic Party. And what a lot of people don't know is that he was pushing Biden to get out of the race, but he and Pelosi had enough wits to them to realize Kamala wasn't it.
Yeah.
And Michelle, too. They were like, you're kidding me, right? Like, it can't be her. They wanted an open convention. But that bitch Biden, that sore loser, put on his way out the door. Oh, and by the way, it's Kamala. Fuck you. And then what do all the sycophants do? They bow down. They bow down. They get in line and they say, fuck you, it's Kamala. What are you going to do? And Obama was a scaredy cat, didn't want to go up against that. And he was like, if I go up against it, I may lose my status of privilege in the party. And so what do they do?
Which is also kind of crazy, because it's like, dude, you're Obama. What do you mean?
I know.
Maybe he needs a Justin Bieber moment.
Yeah, like, for real. Like, this is the thing. It's like the Biden era and the control of that party was a fucking disaster. Every which way you want to take it. So for me, when I see Obama, like, going and be friends with Zoran, that's his way of, like, making sure that he's relevant in the party.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just, like, suspicious in
going.
that way.
No, yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it's never from a genuine
Yeah.
standpoint, obviously, from Obama's side, but it's helpful for the Zorans of the party because, like, oh shit, it's coming our way. The party is moving our way. No longer are they like, well, they are still, but no, they're not. They're still trying to shove us away, but they're not as successful as anymore of doing that. So they're gonna either have
push
to make
around
nice,
a little bit,
basically. And so this kind of brings us to California. And I don't know if you, Alexis, have been keeping up with what's going on with the governor race in California. But to me, it is literally everything wrong with the Democratic Party in a nutshell. And there's layers to this. Here's the thing. California Democratic voters, you guys are embarrassing. Genuinely embarrassing. We have people who are calling for an end to the jungle primary system because of how it's kind of backfired. Why do you think it was set up in the first place? Democrats allowed that. Democrats, establishment Democrats, set up a jungle primary, which means you don't just have like one Republican and one Democrat going to the final election. It's whoever gets the most votes, top two. They did that so they can make it next to impossible for a real progressive to get to the top two and get elected the governor. Which should tell you that the Democrats in California are not really progressives. They're fucking neoliberals. They're wolves in sheep's clothing. Didn't Gavin Newsom, the current governor, campaign on the promise of single-payer healthcare? And then what happened when he was in power? He vetoed it. Miraculously, single-payer healthcare passed both houses of the state legislature, but the governor said, no. I'm in bed with the pharmaceuticals and the insurance companies, and they're paying me a sweet, sweet dollar bills to make sure that this never sees the light of day, so I'm going to veto it. And that comes at the heart as to why Democrats like that lose elections, because they don't use power. Well, actually, they do use power, but they use it to keep the working class where they are and their rich friends not where they are, keeping going up and up and up in their status and in their power. And that's the thing that a lot of California Democrats just cannot seem to grapple with, is that they think that they're progressive when they're actually a neoliberal. Or maybe they think that maybe they are progressive, but they're continuously voting for neoliberals who are compromised, who are never going to follow through on the big structural issues because they're paid not to. And if voters are going to have that same mentality, what the fuck is all of this even for? I should say there are layers that Democrats in this state should be embarrassed. Number one, it's embarrassing that if Kamala Harris had chose to run for governor, this wouldn't even be a race and she would be the governor. And I personally find that very embarrassing because she's a big time fucking loser. She is a bigger loser than Biden and Hillary Clinton. And I got to tell you, it is a miscarriage of justice on any sense of the term, whatever you want it to mean, on any plane of existence, that she is relevant in politics, because she lost big time. She lost in places Democrats had no business losing. And even in the places where she did win, Democratic turnout was down. She depressed turnout. She depressed the base.
Yeah.
Like, she allowed for Republicans to win in my home county for the first time since George H.W. Bush went in the late 80s. She was a universally terrible candidate. And the idea that California Democrats were okay with her walking up on in here, sure, you big fat time loser, we're going to go ahead and give you the governorship. Embarrassing. And that right there gives you the context for why the losers that have come up and down the polls for the governorship, or to even declare their candidacy, are even there in the first place. So this then allowed for so many Democrats to declare, I'm running for governor, I'm running for governor. A bunch of no names, a bunch of has-beens, and a bunch of corporate stooges. And it's been going on for months. Originally, in the lead was Katie Porter, who was known for being more progressive. But then when she announced her candidacy, she then decided, you know what? No, I'm going to be more corporate. I'm going to be more friendly to corporations. You know, that worker stuff that I was talking about before? Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it suits me. So I'm going to, go the other way. And then it blew up in her face when all of these allegations came out, and then video came out of her like being horrible to her staff, and then the whole thing went down. Okay, so her candidacy imploded. Then what happened? Where did that like 15 to 18% of corporate, normie, stupid, embarrassing California voters, where did they go? Eric Swalwell. Which, when you hear that name out loud, what a dumb name. Swalwell. What a fucking dumb name. And also, have you looked at the guy? And he's like, oh, I'm going to vote for him because he's going to fight Trump. Because in the House, he fought Trump. And did what? And won when? That's just the brain dead mentality that California voters have. He never won against Trump ever. But you know why he got that much support in the first place? Because he was a resistance hero on MSNBC. He would go on there every day and say, Trump is awful. Trump is terrible. Because California voters are lazy and they want to do their own work in researching the policies that these candidates are actually for. And all they love is the theater. They're like, oh, he's that guy that I loved watching on TV all those years. I'm going to vote for him because obviously he's a fighter, even though he never won once. But yeah, that's why he was polling in the lead. And then what happened? Oh, it turns out he was a rapist. Not only did it turn out he was a rapist, and now he's since withdrawn from the race because he might be going to jail. How does that happen all the time, by the way? How does that happen? How a lot of Democratic candidates that get that high up end up getting in some kind of criminal misconduct or investigation. Think. Use your head. How does that happen all the time? But then here's the other thing too. And this is why I implore Democratic voters in the California state to think critically. Why aren't you questioning the fact that these allegations of rape were not a secret? They knew. All of the power players in the Democratic Party knew of these stories and his behavior, and they allowed him not only to run, but to get into first place. And imagine if he had been the nominee for the Democrats in November, and imagine if those allegations dropped a week before the election, what would have happened? You would have single-handedly created the conditions that would have once again allowed for a Republican to take power. Funny how this keeps happening again and again and again, everywhere you look. And to me, why aren't there investigations happening right now into politicians who knew of these things but didn't report them?
Yep. Facts.
And this is why I say, why do you listen to what these politicians say when they've led you to ruin, to Loserville, and to associating with criminals who you claim to say you're against? Hey, you want to be like, oh, well, Tom Steyer is a billionaire and I'm against billionaires buying elections. And, I don't think billionaires should be in power because he's exactly like Trump. The Democrats have been harboring criminals and rapists too.
Yep.
Eric Swalwell, go find clips of him saying, oh, we need to believe women. But then when he gets accused, they're liars. I'm going to fight these allegations in court.
Mm-hmm.
Establishment corporate Democrats are hypocrites who only care about capturing power so that they can protect Republicans from it and deliver you, the working people of this state and this country, absolutely nothing. This happens again and again and again and again. By the way, it's been months now that there have been a lot of Democrats in the race, and there's a risk that the top two could be Republicans.
Yep.
Where was the governor? Oh, yeah, he wrote a book, and he's kind of in the middle of running for president, so he can't be bothered to be involved. Not that I, at this point, want him to be involved, because if he would become involved, I wonder which one he would pick. Gee, maybe it's the one who would be an exact clone of his and who would do the exact same things he would do as governor. So at every turn, the Democratic voter base is not nearly angry enough as I am, and they need to be, about their leaders because they consistently fail them. I mean, seriously. So, what has happened? Well, Eric Swalwell, disgraced, resigned, out of the race, as he should be. Where did his voters go? Oh, they went from one boring loser to another boring loser who's been in politics for a long time and has delivered absolutely nothing. Supporters will say, oh, he stands for this. He's fought against that. It's all talk. What has he actually done? I'm referring to Javier Becerra, who was polling at 6% before Swalwell dropped out. He was a nobody in this race. And then, all of a sudden, polls came out today. Some where he's tied for first, some where he's not first. Why? Oh, because the voters who were supporting the loser, embarrassing rapist Eric Swalwell, of course the IQ cells wouldn't be there to register. Oh, we love boring losers. So who else in this race is a boring loser who will absolutely deliver on nothing? Oh, Javier Becerra, yeah, he's a progressive. No, he's not. Yeah, he stands for everything. No, he doesn't. We acknowledge he's boring, but he has experience, guys. He's been in politics for a long time. Also, he was under the Biden administration. So that counts for something, right? Legit. That's the logic that these people are bringing. And that sliver, that 20%, these people, I'm sorry, but society would be better off if you didn't vote. Because it's getting to the point where you're just as bad as Republican voters, because you are not taking into consideration the serious policy positions, and also you're not following the money. You're not following the money of who is supporting it, and no one's asking the critical questions. Javier Becerra was nowhere to be seen on this election, nowhere to be seen in this race. And then when Swalwell drops out, the algorithm on TikTok and other social media apps, all of a sudden, we have all these people who are like, you should vote for Javier Becerra. I'm voting for Javier Becerra for governor, and here's why you should too. It's literal bots, and then people who are being paid, and the algorithm pushing it. And you have to wonder, why is the algorithm pushing this candidate? Gee, maybe it's because there genuinely might be the risk of a candidate who, one, is not aligned with the machine and the establishment, and two, oh my God, might actually maybe deliver on some of the promises by, oh my God, raising taxes on the rich? Could it be that might be what it is? Because that's exactly what it fucking is. This is obvious. It always has been obvious. And if you don't open your eyes, we're never going to get anywhere. We have an amazing opportunity this year. We're seeing amazing progress in Texas, in Maine, in Michigan, other places where progressives are ascendant. Just the other week, there was a New Jersey House race where a progressive won a contentious primary, and she defeated the Republican handily in the special election when everybody was saying she had no shot because it's a swing district and she's a progressive and progressives can't win. Time and again, these past 2 years, these myths of progressives can't win, the establishment is wrong. They're always wrong. They're continually proving that they're wrong. So why, in the biggest state in the country, are you going to show them fealty? Why are you going to listen to anything they have to say when who are the ones who they've been propped up? A loser like Kamala, who thinks this is beneath her, so she's running for president where she will lose again. And I can't wait for the day where she falls flat on her face and she has to resign, or she has to drop out because no one's going to vote for her. Then you go to Katie Porter, who turned her back on the working class, ended up being a pretty monstrous boss to her employees. Okay, that fell apart. Then went to Resistance MSNBC hero Eric Swalwell, who ended up being a rapist. So now, who is Javier Becerra? Well, let me go ahead and tell you exactly who this bitch is, because I think it's important for us to know who he is, what he stands for, and what kind of governor he would be if he realistically has a chance, which unfortunately he might have a chance now because of the brain dead disease of California Democratic voters. So, funnily enough, someone did a search on his mentions, and they typed in if he ever had a comment on Citizens United. Citizens United, which is the Supreme Court case which allowed for big money to buy elections, right? Because, Democratic voters say, we're against Tom Steyer. We can't have a billionaire buy elections. Okay, well, what about the candidate you're supporting? What does he have to say about billionaires buying elections? No results. No results. No, nothing about Citizens United. By the way, what does Tom Steyer say about Citizens United? Oh, there are posts going all the way back to 2015 saying that it needed to be overturned. And even in all the campaigns that he's been a part of, even this one, he says, overturn Citizens United. See, if you're a progressive, it's pretty easy to see between the two of them, which one obviously automatically is more appealing. It's very clearly which one it would be. Okay? Let's continue on with Javier Becerra and what he apparently is like. It's been stated repeatedly that he has support by some, very, very interesting people. I believe it was, yeah. So he's pro corporations, he's pro Israel, he's pro the establishment. Fun stuff. Here, by the way, is a damning piece right here. This is written by Walkner Bragman. This was written, by the way, October 14th, 2021. You know what the headline is here? This is when he was, I believe, the DEH secretary for Joe Biden, which apparently is a big deal. Here's a headline. Javier Becerra could lower drug prices. So why isn't he? Are you telling me that this man was in a position of power to lower drug prices and he chose not to? Why would that be? Could it be perhaps because he's bought and paid for by donors and corporations who have no interest in having those drug prices be lowered? Do you think that could be why it could be? This is what the article said. They I don't even know where to begin because there's a whole bunch of like higgledy-piggledy, like hoggly wash or whatever bullshit here. Here's the gist of it. This is what David Sirota said. When I think about the California governor's race, there's one thing everyone needs to know about Javier Becerra. As California Attorney General, which was years before this, he demanded that the HHS secretary, that's Health and Human Services, he demanded that the secretary use existing law that doesn't have to be passed, not new legislation, law that already is in the books. When he was the California Attorney General, he was telling to the HHS secretary, use the laws that exist to lower medicine prices. Then years later, when Joe Biden appointed Javier Becerra to the same job he was bitching to lower drug prices, he refused. He refused to do that. This is what it says right here. An obvious way the Biden administration could now do something about drug prices would be exercising its power to employ march-in rights, such as government rights that were established in 1980 and gave federal agencies the power to license patent products to other manufacturers if they were developed with government funding under special circumstances, including when action is necessary because the contractor or assignee has not taken or is not expected to take within a reasonable time. However, the federal government has never exercised those rights in the 40 years since the law was signed. That's also on you, Obama. What the fuck? You were in power for 8 years. Okay. The July letter authored by Senator Warren and a whole bunch of other people. Okay. They basically put this letter that says, hey, are you not going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And then the demand is consistent with, positions Becerra had taken in the past. And then Becerra and his colleagues went on to note, if Americans who need remdesivir, I don't know how to pronounce that drug, find themselves unable to afford a treatment course, then federal agencies have sufficient reason to require the license of both, blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of like talk here. While Becerra has not yet committed to utilizing margin rights to lower drug prices, in September, his office issued a report flagging margin rights as a tool at their disposal. So you heard that right. He didn't do anything, but they released a report saying, we could do something, but we're not. How tomorrow of them. It's like, here's something we could do, but we're not doing it right now. This is the thing, and the Biden administration was very eye-opening, where it's like they had power. And time again, instead of using it to actually get shit done, like they promised they would do, they came up with excuses. This happened many, many times where reconciliation under Biden, they could have gotten a $15 minimum wage across the country. What happened? Oh, the parliamentarian told us it wasn't allowed. So they didn't do a $15 minimum wage. Okay. Also, student loan debt. It's a big deal, right? When Biden said he was going to cancel it, he stupidly chose the wrong act to use as his backup, which led him vulnerable for the Supreme Court, which you knew that was going to happen because Republicans were going to sue you, and you knew that the court was Republican conservative. So you left yourself open for the whole thing to be dismantled immediately. So Joe Biden, tell me, was that incompetence, or was the plan always for it to be struck down, saying there was nothing we could do? Do you see how they play this game over and over and over again? And I'm happy that across the country, Democrats are beginning to open their eyes. But it seems like in California, still not quite, getting it to people. Becerra is, I'm sorry to me, he's a very weak candidate. He's a non-starter for me on very many things. And to me, he's exactly the kind of Democrat that wins in the state. Offers nothing, does nothing. Nothing will fundamentally change. Nothing will get fixed.
Yep.
On the other hand, though, it doesn't have to be that way. And from the day he announced, I had a feeling about this guy. Yes, he's a billionaire. But there is something to be said for the way that this man has fully embraced the identity of class trader. And I also have long memory, which, well, I guess not with you, Alexis, but I guess where it matters. With politics, I have a long memory about that. I remember 2020 very well. And I remember which people were allies and which people were snakes. Elizabeth Warren? Snake. Pete Buttigieg? He's more of a rat. Tom Steyer was an ally. Now, he wasn't 100% with Bernie Sanders' policy proposals, but he was always very, encouraging of Bernie and his voice. And that always struck me as you're a billionaire and you're saying Bernie is right on all these things. You don't agree with him on all the things, but you're saying he's right here, he's right there. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then I noticed how friendly he would be with Bernie on the campaign trail, and how they would Tom Steyer in a lot of ways treated Bernie a lot more friendly than anybody else in that whole field. And that stuck with me. So when he announced back in November, I was like, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, because I remember he isn't just here trying to buy an election because he's the same kind of billionaire as Michael Bloomberg or Tim Cook or Sam Altman or Elon Musk. Based on a long track record, he seems to have genuine beliefs and conviction in those beliefs. And they just so happen to align with the policies that you would think any ordinary California Democrat would support, but they just aren't, right? And that's the part to me that kind of gets me really pissed off. It's like, okay, in all honesty, should Tom Steyer be the best candidate? Not really, but he is by default because all the other ones are such losers. And they can't even be bothered to pretend to be in favor of positions they'll go back on immediately when they're in office. And that's kind of where, you're kind of revealing the whole game there, aren't you? And that's what gets me so heated about it. So what am I talking about? Well, this is where it is. Where do you stand on the positions? Okay, here are the candidates and here are the positions. Tom Steyer, the billionaire, is the only one who is for a single payer healthcare system. And that will actually fight to get it through. Okay. Tom Steyer not only said this last week that he is, against ICE. He's in favor. He can't abolish it, but he has at least the rhetoric. I'm gonna abolish ICE, and on top of that, I'm gonna arrest ICE agents. Only candidate in the whole race to say I'm gonna arrest ICE agents. I'm sorry, but that's a hard on for me. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. That's what I'm talking about. Why aren't the rest of them doing this? It's not hard to call out ICE, guys. It's pretty easy. Like, come on. It's like, read the fucking room here. Tom's also in favor of a billionaire tax, banning fossil fuels. I've seen a lot of his videos saying that he wants to go after the electric monopolies, which...
Interesting.
Oh, he's saying that he wants to raise taxes on rich people. He's saying that billionaires are wrong and they're the enemy. And he's talking about breaking up monopolies. Whether or not he can actually do that is a different question. But he's at least speaking to these things. Why aren't the other candidates in the Democratic race speaking to these things? That's the part that really upsets me here. It's like, Tom Steyer really has no business winning this race. But honestly, he probably does, because the rest of them are refusing to change. They're refusing to just not be dumb. It's like, it's pretty easy to see, like, who are the ones here. I mean, if they're already right now, like, not, like, willing to budge on these things, then we can't expect you to be a good governor or a memorable governor at that. And it's gotten to a head. I'll tell you, this is a personal one for me. The California Teachers Association Union, Teachers Union, they endorsed Tom Steyer for governor. And a big reason why they endorsed him is because he's the only candidate that's speaking to reversing certain things, decisions that were made by Democrats, mind you, that cut funding. He's said that he's going to reverse that. We're going to take a look at that and go back the other way. Why is this so hard to say? Why is this so hard to do? And his own mother was a teacher, so
I'm sure. Yeah,
I know that he has that ingrained appreciation. Like, he's been talking about education a lot, and California education is a really big thing that needs addressing in a very big way. And none of the candidates are speaking to this except him in a meaningful way. And let me tell you why I'm more open to him than anybody else. He's not part of the machine. He's not part of the establishment. He's not somebody who they like or who they want or who they would ever have picked. He is somebody who is self-sufficient, self-independent. He is putting his own money and his own money only. He is not bought and paid for by any insurance companies, any pharmaceuticals, any corporations, any multi-conglomerates. Nobody can say that they own him because he is not taking their fucking money. And it is honestly embarrassing that the billionaire of all people is the one that can say, I'm not taking corporate PAC money.
Yep.
That's why I'm saying this. That's why I've been saying this entire segment that there have been layers to the embarrassment that California Democratic voters should feel that we've gotten to this point in the first place. That's how it should be like. Anyway, continuing on, where the momentum, well, we'll see how this goes. I mean, there's going to be a debate this week. The polls are very much still fluid. Tom is very much still in this, but you can't take for granted the laziness and the slave-like mentality of Democratic voters in this state to do what they're told by their daddy, Gavin Newsom, and Nancy, and their mommy, Nancy Pelosi. I'm sorry if I'm being mean, but that's just how you are. That's just how you are. And also, I gotta say, progressives out there who are saying about Ramsey Robinson, whatever his name is, guys, we don't have the time with people who have no chance in winning. Tom has a chance to win. What are you doing? You have to be in favor of Tom. Like, we don't have time for this Elizabeth Warren mentality. One of the things that I will never, first of all, I will never forgive Elizabeth Warren for stabbing Bernie in the back, like the snake she was in 2020. But also, her fucking supporters in this fucking state. Because this is what happened on Super Tuesday. California, 500 plus delegates. Like 20 something, between 15 to 20%. Interesting how it's the same number, of voters in the California primary could have voted for Bernie because he had a chance to win the nomination. At that point, Warren had no shot. But what did I see? Saw a lot of posts saying, I was proud to vote for Elizabeth Warren, a candidate who had no chance of winning, a candidate who stabbed a progressive ally in the back, and a stupid voter that you were for throwing your vote away on somebody who helped ensure that Biden won the nomination and the presidency, which then in the future led to Trump getting back into office down the line.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So I say I have a long memory when it comes to, I don't forget. I do not forget when it comes to these things because they matter and no one ever wants to talk about them. Because I just think like, are you kidding me? Like, do you not see how this point led all the way to over here? And now we're doing the same thing all over again? It's like, we cannot be splintered and fragmented. We have to face facts with reality about like who has a shot at winning and who does not. And I'm sorry, but Becerra is not it. And he's a boring speaker too. If you think he's going to like throw flash grenades at that debate to keep you awake, maybe he would, but it's just not going to do it for you. Watch. And I'm not saying Tom is the most charismatic speaker either, but he's got the positions in here today. Our Revolution, which is a Bernie Sanders' group. This is the story today. Our Revolution, the progressive group founded by Bernie Sanders as an outgrowth. This is something that was formed after the 2016 presidential race, is endorsing its first billionaire as the race for California governor tightens. Tom Steyer, a hedge fund billionaire and philanthropist, won the group's endorsement on Monday. The group said its decision to back Steyer was driven in part by the shakeup over Swalwell's exit and fear that if progressives fail to consolidate around a candidate, they'll hand the seat to a Republican. They say, while yes, he is a billionaire, and that's a real and important concern, it's equally important to recognize how he's used his wealth and power, said Executive Director Joseph Givarchy. Steyer, he said, is the candidate most ideologically aligned with his group's pledge to fight corporate power in politics and the most likely to win. The worst thing that could happen is a Republican winning. Strategically, Steyer and his campaign is best positioned to make sure that does not happen. When California voters cast their ballots in the June 2nd primary, the two leading candidates will advance to the general election no matter their party affiliation. Left-leaning voters remain split across a wide Democratic field, with Swalwell and Steyer as frontrunners until last week, obviously. Now, Swalwell essentially has been replaced by Becerra, which I think to me just bolsters the point that I've been making the entire night, which is that core 15 to 20% of Democratic voters are fucking sheep and have no shame and are basically falling for some billionaire using a TikTok algorithm to push a candidate who will absolutely change and fix nothing for you. And if that person ends up being the candidate and the governor, are you going to own up to your mistakes? You love to shame Trump voters, as you should, and as they should, for the consequences of their own votes. But what are you going to own up to continuously voting in loser corporate establishment Democrats who make situations worse by doing nothing and not using their power to fix the problems, but using their power to block people who would challenge them and actually be a Mamdani and change things for the better? I am so obviously vested in this because this is my home state. This is my home. I love this state. I think it's the best state in the country. But I think it can be better. And I'm sick and tired of conservatives like having some good points about the mismanagement of this state, because I agree. I hate Gavin Newsom. I hate the Democrats in the state. I want them gone. I want real progressives to be in charge and actually show the rest of the country what a progressive state can look like. Mm-hmm. Not one that kowtows to big business, not one that kowtows to that's in bed with pharmaceuticals that are killing people every day because they refuse coverage. I want a real Democratic Party, and I want a base that's not stupid and idiotic and lazy. For once, can we have that? You know, Jerry Brown was a great governor, but Gavin Newsom was such a complete drop off in quality. And if you cannot see that, if you're going to think that politicians like Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom are the way of the future, you've got another fucking thing coming. Okay, those people have had their time and it's over. It's done. In California, should be a model. And I think Steyer, look, I'm not sure how successful he would be, but the fact that he has a unique angle where he's not connected to any of the snakes or the spiders in the Democratic Party, he has his own money, and he actually believes the things that he says, that's a potent mix. I'll go with that. I can vibe with that. What I will not vibe with are fucking losers who at every turn, Becerra had the power to lower drug prices in this country. Yeah. And he said nothing. He said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. No matter which way this race turns out, if Becerra ends up being the nominee, I'm not voting for him. I'm not voting for him. And if it means allowing a Republican to win, fuck it. I'm going to say right now, fuck it. I know I'm going to suffer. I know people will suffer. But you know what? Maybe it's time that we do have to suffer. Because you know what's happening with this Trump presidency? People are finally realizing, oh shit, we fucked up. It's time for us to get in there and put in people who are actually going to solve these things. And if it takes a fucking Republican to wake California up, why the fuck not? Because I am tired. I'm sick and tired of these bitches being in the way of progress. I don't want to spend the rest of my 60 years, if I have 60 years left of my life, whatever, I don't want to spend the rest of it fighting these cowards, these losers who suck off at the tit of corporate power and refuse to actually help you out. And I'm tired of a voter base who refuses to take responsibility for their own votes. I'm sick of it. I don't know how long I've been going on this rant, but this genuinely has made me so angry this week to think that we have somebody who could help us. But instead we're going to go and bow down at yet another empty suit who will do nothing for you. Alexis, I'm sorry. I've been just going off and on and on. I'm really curious to hear what you think.
I mean, I agree with everything that you're saying. It's frustrating, you know? But I don't know. It's also like it's scary to think about, and I see why you're upset, and like I'm upset about it too. I guess I don't know, like I feel like it can't all be this bad. Like there has to be a turn. And that's just kind of like what I don't know, I'm hopeful. I feel like
I'm hopeful too, but I wanted to use this as a way to kind of excise this anger out of my body, because I just feel like no one else is. I'm sorry. I don't mean to like toot my own horn here, but I don't think anybody else has just put it the way that I just did right now, where it's like the failures of this Democratic Party. We have to move past it. Enough is enough already. I'm tired of constantly having to settle for people who I know deep down are not gonna get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of allowing conservatives, just even giving them an inch, because when you give them an inch, they're gonna take up the whole damn thing. I'm tired of Republicans getting away with all their bullshit because Democrats can never get their shit together. And I mean this to every part of the electorate. To the people who were used to be for Porter, used to be for Swalwell, are not for Becerra. Open your fucking eyes, damn it. This guy's not going to do anything. And I'm also going to say to the people who know better, who agree with me, who are going to go for somebody who's polling less than 1% and not go for Steyer just because he's a billionaire. You have to start using your brain. Think critically. It's not ever been a black and white thing with any election, with any candidate ever. There's never going to be a perfect choice.
Yeah.
But I just wish that people would see what I see in candidates. I like to go for candidates who I can tell on some level. Now, it's never going to be a perfect thing, obviously, because they're politicians and they lie, obviously. But the politicians that I've supported, I've been able to discern, oh, I see a little bit of your humanity peeking out through these positions. Okay, I see it in you where I don't see it in all these other bitches. I'm going to go with you. I wish people would like go along, would like be able to see that and tell that. And I cannot believe that we're still with the mentality of like, oh, maybe I'll support Josh Shapiro, Cory Booker, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, on and on and on. And every week we hear about this random Democrat who's like, maybe I should run for president. And I'm like, the base is telling you again and again, you are not it. You are not what we want. The leadership of the Democratic Party right now is so bad, they're being called fascist collaborators because that's what they are. They're allowing the fascists to do whatever they want. If we were going to do Nuremberg trials, they would also be put on stand.
Yep.
That's how bad that it is. So that's kind of like where I feel. Anything else to add here, Alexis?
Nope. I will say,
Okay.
outside of the podcast, it's 10:30.
I was going to tell you, I think it's time to go to sleep. Don't worry. So whatever else we were going to do, we'll save it for next time because we got
3 movies next time.
Yeah. So, yeah. But which happens a lot. We don't get to all of that. But I did not want to leave this without getting to this last thing. And I thank you for giving me your time and listening to all of this. And I'm just, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. But thank you again for being here. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening for Red Spotlight. Stay tuned. Also, we're on TikTok now, apparently. And we clip out some of these things and catch us over there. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, I don't blame you because they're freaking long. Go watch the clips. I think they're much more digestible, if you, I think, would agree to that term. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. Catch us under our Red Spotlight, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.